There we go.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to open the meeting at 6 o'clock. This is the Plainfield Selectboard meeting, March 10, 2025. There are 3 of the 5 select members here now, but we expect the other 2 at some point. So the first order of business is to organize the select board. And that means the chair, we need nominations for a chair, a co-chair, and I think a secretary.
We never
We never had a secretary.
have a chair.
Okay, okay.
Chair and a vice chair.
Hello. So, yeah,
I make a motion that Carl Bishops continues to be the chair and that Francis Rose continues to be the vice chair.
How do you feel about it, Kyle?
any seconds?
I would second it.
Can we do that? Can we do them together?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like we can do both positions in one motion?
Yeah, it's just our own
Okay.
organization.
Double checking.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a motion and second, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Well, thank you, folks, for that. And congratulations again on winning your election.
Thank you. You all too?
Oh, we did get, thank you. Any changes to the agenda that the board would like to talk about? We tried to get everything on there that we need to do. Announcements. No announcements, okay. Flying right through it. Public comment, we have 10 minutes for public comment. Yes, Ken.
Kim Nolan, I don't see Peter on there, the animal control guy. So I was gonna ask, did he impound the dog? I had heard that Saturday, him and Christopher Keast were gonna go up and talk with Devin. I don't know if they did. And what's the status on that right now?
Well, we have not, unless, we'll wait for Graham to get off this. He is this is one of his very busy days.
There you go.
Yep.
Hey, yeah. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, all right, great.
So
Yeah, Chris, I was gonna jump in and say, Chris and myself came up there, saw Devin, and we went over to Kim's house, left a message on her front door, and also went up and spoke with Ryan Christensen.
And would you state
Can
your
you
name?
state
for the
your name,
record?
please, for the record?
Peter Yassis.
Thank you. Okay, so you were at the property and you left notes for Kim and for the other neighbor, Ryan?
We actually spoke with Ryan. He was home, but
Okay.
at Kim's house, she was not home, and we left a message on her front door.
Okay,
No message, but it's okay, go ahead and tell me what you're telling me now.
Oh.
so what was the result of your visit?
The dog was tethered. Devin had said that most of the claims against him were false. So once we got past that, we talked about the care of the animal. He said that he repaired the tether line. It was a new tether line. And the dog, while we were there, was barking at us, but running from the right side of the house to the left side of the house on the tether line. And we spoke saying that he should get the animal rabies shots and then registered with the town as soon as possible. I called him back today because he said he was going to try and do it Monday morning because we were there Saturday afternoon at 12 o'clock. And so now I called him about 1:30, 2 o'clock today, and I haven't checked my messages to see if I got any calls back from him. So I don't know what the status is today of the animal, if it got rabies shots this morning or if he went to the town this morning.
Okay, I don't know if he's aware of it, but there are some free rabies clinics where
Yeah.
theoretically
We were saying that too, and he was gonna look into it.
Good, because it's a lot less money.
But that's not the issue.
Right.
Dog-
No, it's not the issue. He needs to be tied up.
So what did you tell him about the dogs being impounded?
Well, what I tried to do is I got in touch with 3 different organizations. The one being, the one that was recommended by Sheriff, Brett, Meyer. So, that one is, run by a former animal control officer in the town of Chelsea. So I'm waiting for an answer back on that. And, what we need is a town contract with that, company so that everything is set to go. So I cannot impound the dog without having someplace to bring it.
Yeah.
So that's my problem right now.
Did you tell Devin the dog is being impounded, no matter whether it has rabies shots or whatever?
Well, I cannot enter his property. I could only confiscate the dog on the road if the dog is loose. And that's per Brett Meyer, the sheriff. We need a warrant to go onto his property to get the animal. So we could be brought up on charges.
Okay,
Brett Meyer said. He said nothing
No.
about the warrant, and still, you didn't answer my question. Did you tell Devin that the dog was being impounded?
Cam, the microphone's this way, so
Oh.
speak. this.
yeah, yeah.
This is
Okay.
the
We did,
microphone.
we,
Might be easier for him to.
we did. Yes, we did mention all the other specifics about impounding the dog, but as far as a legal thing, Brett Meyer suggested to me I cannot do that. I cannot just go on his property, grab the dog. I
That's
can only
weird.
grab the dog if it's loose on the road somewhere.
Again.
Michael,
Yes, I was aware that.
you
at
may
the
need
last-
this, you need this.
You're farther from the mic, you might need to.
Name,
Who are you?
Michael Billingsley.
oh, it's not on?
It's not on.
You just gotta push the yellow button up.
That's,
Yeah, there you go.
I was aware at the last select board meeting, there was a very distinct effort to gather historical data of people who attested that they had been lunged at or that they had been on their own property and the dog had come after them or entrapped them. And one person was bitten. So we actually have a long track record of the dog being out of compliance and also doing things that are illegal. So I didn't think you needed to prove that again.
Well, then either that or I'm not getting the right information from Brett.
So. Okay, so you're gonna let us know about
And
the,
And that email was sent to Bram from Brett to myself, and I think some other people on the list at the town. So it's an email that Bram should have seen.
okay,
What did the email
what-
say? Nobody knows.
anyone else have any comments? Because I don't want to tie up all the 10 minutes with the dog. Do you have
I
any?
don't, I mean, what I remember in the email was the officer complaining about the identification of the individual who had the dog. But I don't remember much beyond that.
Okay,
Another point of, I don't know what the proper color.
You might have to use the mic, you're speaking pretty loud.
Sorry. George Cushing has had a hard time going into the Zoom portion of the meeting, and he might come, and he wants to be for the public comment section. Would it be possible to accommodate him? He's walking over right now.
yeah, we can get into the business and then get back to
Okay.
him.
So that's fine.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Any other public comment issues? Okay, we can come back to public comment when George gets here. The review of the town meeting, Dan had a concept, an idea, and we don't know if we can do this. Was to combine the reports into one motion. Similar to what we do with the social concerns, where we can combine all of them together and have one motion. And then the discussion, people can bring up particular questions about each one of those.
You want me to explain it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the town report for town meeting, there's some statutorily required things in it. About 90% of what's in our town report is not in that statutory requirement. So I'm not suggesting that we change the actual book or the information that we provide. But instead of having, I counted 29 votes to say, do we accept this report? Do we accept this report? Even though they're all past tense things and they've already happened, we would have one motion to accept all of the unrequired by statute reports. We could then go through all the reports in town meeting, but we wouldn't have to vote 29 times. We would just vote once at the end of all of the discussion. Probably save us some time and save us a bunch of asking for firsts and seconds and having someone write down who was the first or the second for the recreation departments or the Parks and Recreation Committee's report. So I think it's something we should try to move forward on. It'll just make life a little bit easier for running town meeting. We're not changing the information we bring to the town. And I have talked to other towns. A lot of towns do not do it this way, and it's not required by state law to do it this way.
Yeah, I did talk to Donnie also, and he said it was just tradition. But it takes a lot of time and it doesn't really accomplish anything. Because we can still have the discussion about each one of those reports if we would.
Yep,
Oh,
Trevor's got his hand up.
Charlie, go ahead.
Yes, do I understand that you're trying to set a procedure how next town meeting is being run?
It's a suggestion that we should bring up at next town meeting.
So will the decision be made by town meeting? Or will the
will-
decision be made by the select board?
No, I think it should be a town meeting decision. That's my thought. I don't know what's required.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if the way that we run town meeting right now was decided by a town meeting. Or if they just did it this way and we just kept,
Yeah,
like, I don't, we'd have to look back in the records to know. I know that there is nothing from a state law perspective that requires us beyond the article piece. And having requirements within the town meeting report. I mean, there's very specific things we're required to do, but a lot of what we do is not required, and I think it's town by town how they deal with those things.
it feels to me like next town meeting, we have a discussion about it and a vote on it and then go from there.
May I say that town meeting runs itself? And they can change their procedure as long as it's in accordance with the law. And it has nothing to do with article that's presented or with anything else. It has to be something that's brought up at town meeting.
Yep, understood, and I think that's the way we'll do it. It was just a point of, we're just reviewing the town meeting issues and just, that was one of the items that we had talked about. Bram,
Yes, we've gotten comments from people, and I'm not for or against this idea, but I'm just saying other towns do this, where they don't mail the town report to everyone. The town report is available at town meeting and at the town office.
it's really
Speaker thing, I can try to fix it, but I'm not an audio person.
People online.
Keith isn't here.
Lauren is having a hard time hearing you. I think online is having a hard time hearing. Do you want to move into the front row?
Okay.
Yeah, just
So
stand
I'll
here.
just stand here. What I was saying was, some towns do not do a mass mailing of a town report. The town report is picked up at the municipal building and available at town meeting and available electronically. I'll get the numbers in terms of what the savings is, but I'm just saying that that's something that some other towns do. And
Mhm.
other people have complained about too many town reports being mailed.
Okay. Any other feedback that we should talk about? From anyone? Yeah. Bram?
Sorry, on the zoning vote. Because of the position of that question on the ballot, many people did not vote that on the zoning. So we are aware of that, and we're gonna change the design of the ballot to make sure that people don't skip over it.
And is there another vote, or is there just the next time that something?
Next
happens?
time.
Okay.
The vote is the vote.
Yeah, yep. Thank you, that's,
Can you try the mic?
Where's the mic?
is that any better?
It
Yes.
is.
Thanks.
Well done, Dan. I have a few somethings about town meeting to bring back to our ears and collective audience. Probably three different categories. One, before town meeting, I had come before the select board to ask for permission to the board and also the Opera House to create air purifiers. We had that work session. There were 6 Corsi Rosenthal air purifiers running during town hall. That happened. The Opera House Town Hall has agreed to adopt them. So now we have the option of running virus removing air filters in this space whenever we're in it.
There's one right there.
There's one right there. The onus is on us to make sure they're turned on when we do have events here. And it's not just town events, of course, it's also Opera House events. And it's also, this place is our emergency shelter in case of emergency or disaster. So just wanting to circle around about that happened and that was running during town hall. Second, it's has to do with we've measured before in here the CO2 carbon dioxide parts per million. It gets very high. This building is well sealed. It needs to be to run efficiently, but outdoors is about 500 parts per million. 1,000 is fine for indoors. Above that, there's graduating scales of increasing difficulty with cognition and perhaps irritability. And town meeting, we're up around 4,500. So that's high. And we're hoping that the MERC grant that Bob Atkinson got is going to help us with an HVAC system that can bring in more fresh air while warming the incoming air with the outgoing air.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a lot of building air recycling for efficiency. And so we hope to get any of that, be equal on efficiency at least, while promoting more fresh air in this space.
Yep.
I have one question, Francis Rose.
Yes.
Very relevant to that, Michael Billingsley. I have very limited hearing. I have very limited hearing. I had requested in a couple of emails on the board that you folks use a microphone. Those of us who come in person can't hear you. I didn't hear half about what you just said. And part of that was because the fans were running, which is good,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we couldn't hear you. So I had requested that although you've got an owl that will send your voices to the people on the internet, those of us who come in person would love to hear what you say as well. And
Yeah.
so if the select board could use a microphone in addition to the owl, I would be very thankful.
Good feedback, thank you. No, it's not on.
Not on. Bringing me, hello, bringing me to the third piece, which is accessibility at town meeting. It was brought up frequently in the space. There are so many dimensions of accessibility about town meeting that I'd love for this to be a moment where the select board is soliciting feedback about what we can do to improve accessibility around town meeting. For some whose immune systems are compromised, a room with close to 200 people in it is not going to be the thing ever. We know already that the Route 2 intersection, some people don't come to town meeting because they're afraid to cross the street. That's also true. And, these are things that we are trying to do something about, and trying to do them happens really slowly, especially that intersection project. You're not the first, Michael, to bring up the noise issue about, if we're running fans in order to clean the air, that's also providing, it's like sensory stimulation that is too much or can't hear. And yeah, I want to invite all who are carrying ideas about how we can make town meeting more accessible to start sending them to the select board. Please, we're bringing them up here. And I'd like to state an intention to try to actuate as many of those suggestions that are reasonable as we may. We want town meeting to be more and more accessible to the town.
Michael.
Michael, again, I'm glad you brought this up. You spoke about it recently. And what I have made my personal responsibility since last June, actually since last May, was to make this building accessible for all meetings. In other words, there are committee meetings here as well. There are hosted meetings. There are meetings which people rent the facility. It is a public space, and it is very incumbent upon us to meet at the very least ADA compliance in terms of accessibility. So over the course of the last 9 months, with a $39,000 grant from the Vermont Community Foundation, trying to make the building more livable, at least as much as $39,000 can do. So paving the front handicap accessible space, which is handicapped only accessible, it's for handicap accessibility, as well as soon adding a sill at the front door where there is a ridge that people can go with a wheelchair, trying to examine what will be the best air handling, and at least now we know that that's actually being addressed with money we don't have. We can't do the air conditioning for this whole room, but also cooling the lower floor and adding air conditioning there so that we can have a habitable temperature in the summer, as well as adding sustainable power so that we're not in the middle of a meeting and the power goes out, this building goes black, so people can go see it from home. And the last thing that we have asked is that the select board, working with the road or with Green Mountain Power, with road group, install lighting across the street, because part of the difficulty of getting across the street is there isn't, first of all, dedicated lighting for people to get out of their cars safely, and secondly, to get across Route 2. And there is a crosswalk marked, a temporary crosswalk, which is not in use right now because it's not painted. But the idea of painting the crosswalk that is worn by a sign that was positioned by V-Trans would be helpful. We can go forward there. I don't know if we can do that as part of our striping project, but we're having a stripe for the front parking space striped in April and May.
We have two hands up, Carl. Ilana and Dawn.
I think Alana was up first. Alana?
Okay, I can read Alana's comment because she's not able to unmute. Alana spoke, or I wanted to bring up the location of the zoning vote also, and publicly note that could be 75 people that didn't vote because of that. And the wonder is, could it have changed the outcome?
No. The zoning passed by more than 75 votes.
The zoning passed by more
So
than
even if
75.
every single one of those 75 people voted no, it still wouldn't pass.
Thank you.
That's good. Good question. And was there someone else that had a?
Dawn.
Yep.
Dawn?
Yep, that was me. I have a lot of thoughts, so I won't take up time in this meeting. I'll email them out about things we could do to make meeting more accessible, as long as we're still having an in-person one. I personally would like to see us move to Australian ballot for maximum accessibility. As much as I loved what we had, I just wanted to thank all the people who did all the efforts to make it as accessible as it was. And even though and that the state legislature allowed it to be streamed, for part of it was actually helped me personally. There's no way I could have made it an in-person town meeting that long, and I watched it home and came at the end, which is something I was able to do. Not everyone's able to do that, but I was in the sweet spot of people that actually helped. So, but I also just wanted to echo what Rose said about the CO2 levels at the being so high that it could, harm cognition. I just like wanted to say on that until we can get some sort of HVAC system, which I realize is a huge project, that we make sure we crack the windows at any kind of very crowded meeting like that. It gets hot enough in there anyway. That's all.
I will say, not all the windows open, because they're old, but all of the windows that open were open during the meeting.
Yep. And I just want to follow up on one thing you mentioned. This lift, I noticed, can't be called from up here if it's.
Or either
And-
way, yeah.
Yeah, you have to go downstairs and
You can
get
ride
it
it,
up and
just
then,
ride it, yeah.
yeah, so I had to do that for a few folks. And there is a button here, it just isn't connected apparently. So I don't know, we should probably talk to our service people on that.
Two hands, Alicia.
Okay,
Alicia first.
Alicia, you want to go first?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Francis Rose, for bringing that up. I really appreciate that. I've worked for years professionally in the accessibility area and also as an advocate. And, I'd be happy if Michael's interested in to look for funding resources. I've worked with the university that had a historic building, and there's always a struggle to balance the expectations of the historic preservation committees, which I also really appreciate, with access for everyone. It involves a lot of creative thinking and sometimes a little manipulation. We don't have an accessible entrance. I just want to bring that up too. So, accessibility really means in this day and age, and legally, and not just the spirit of the law, but in the letter of the law, independent access. So having to rely on someone else to call the lift and to open the door for you is an independent access. It's always going to be a difficult balance because you're going to have people who need volume for accessibility because of their hearing, and you're going to have people like myself who are hideously sensitive, or people on the spectrum, or people with other conditions which makes them reactive and sensitive to noise. And some of it's positioning yourself, bringing earplugs. We might look into acquiring some FM systems to be available for people who want to attend and have difficulty hearing, because you can't always choose your space. It's a small space, and there are only a certain number of seats. We could also think about putting preference seats, signs on the seats saying preferred seating or reserved seating for people with various disabilities, if you will. So I'm really interested in working with anybody who's interested in trying to make it better, understanding that we'll always have constraints. Just want to remind folks of the woman, I couldn't quite see who it was, who said that it was really a hardship for her to get out to town meetings. She's injured. That's going to be true for people who have mobility or other health issues. So if we're not going to go to Australian ballot on everything, I think we should offer as a reasonable accommodation the ability to do some kind of ballot vote, even if it's somebody recording it online. Someone asked what an FM system is. It's an assistive listening device. There are a bunch of different type. I won't take more time up, but thanks.
Thanks, Alicia. We being Plainfield Arts does have an assisted listening. I don't think we've figured out the best way to use it. I do know that the headphones we have for it are very bad. So we do, I think if you have expertise in that, Keith Swan, who is the facilities manager here, would love to talk about that more and how we can utilize that. I will say from a Australian ballot, if we want to go to that as a town, that's a town vote. It's got to be petitioned and voted on at the next town meeting or at a town meeting in person to then move it. It's not a decision. And I do not believe that we as a town can tally votes for things that are floor votes in any other way other than floor votes. So that's not an option we have as a town under current state law.
Oh, yeah, Betsy? Oh. Betsy, go ahead.
Oh, hi. I'm just talking, I just wanted to mention about crossing the road to get to town hall. And, how that does really limit accessibility. But one of the things that I think, ran into, and I don't know if people have new information on this, but, was that having, we had requested in the past a blinking light to, be, one of those buttons you can push and as you want to cross the road, and then there'd be a blinking light visible to drivers that you were crossing. But because we lack a long enough sight line from coming from the east going west, the state would not install anything like that. And so I do hope in the next, I hope we're going to be hearing about it tonight, about how that might be improved. Because certainly a blinking light, allowing people to cross and stopping traffic would really make it a little safe, much safer. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we all agree with the safety issue there, Betsy, and we're gonna be having discussions with V-Trans about the intersection project, which kind of rolls into that safe crossing issue. So we're on that, we're working on that. And we're hopefully in one of the future meetings, we will have a representative here to give us an update on where things are at. Okay, I think we're set. And George is not here yet, so I'm gonna keep going. We have the town clerk's report, Pam.
Right, just to follow up on the intersection, Betsy's correct, because of line of sight issues coming in one direction. The state isn't gonna sanction a crosswalk directly in front of Town Hall Opera House, although we could have one a couple hundred feet down. I don't know if that is of interest. Also, there's complications regarding putting in any kind of blinking or stoplight, because it's a federal, it has to do with federal rules, which is why we have that horrible guardrail, that blocks the view for everybody. They replaced the old one, which was bad, but this one's worse, but it meets spec. So, but the spec isn't designed for that kind of term. On town office matters, I interviewed a number of candidates, probably 10 plus for the administrative position, the assistant, the co-assistant town clerk position. We've narrowed it down to 3 candidates, and we'll have the final interviews at the end of this week. If anybody from the select board wishes to join me in that, that would be great.
Okay, I would be happy to join you for those interviews.
Great, thanks, Francis, appreciate it. The other thing, I just want to go over, there is no set policy in terms of disposing of used town big ticket item equipment. And we had a unfortunate situation, a year and change ago, where a truck was sold at a woefully undervalued price, costing the taxpayers money. At present, we want to dispose of a pickup truck, plow truck. It's a 2015, I believe it's an international that was black flagged by the inspectors. For those of you not familiar, that means the damage to it is severe enough so that it cannot be put on the road. It can't pass inspection, in other words. So the problem has to do with the truck has a very severely bent frame that is not repairable. We have, I talked to Michael and Josh about this. We have a current town employee who is interested in purchasing the vehicle for $4,500. And I just wanted to make everyone aware publicly, Michael and Josh feel that that's a decent price. Once again, this is a vehicle that is not going to be able to be roadworthy without an extraordinary amount of. Well, I don't even know that when it's Black Flag if it ever is. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. I think I'm trying to think of the other matters. I think that's about it. Also, I have the summary of the minutes of town meeting plus the transcript. Donnie has signed off on it. If you guys find want to correct stuff, or if you want to vote on it next meeting or whatever you want to do, just let me know. And I have a hard copies as well as the PDF versions. And I made corrections. There are people who emailed corrections to that. The transcript runs about 63 pages. And the summary is probably at 4 or 5. So
So that's the town meeting transcript,
yes.
and then Lloyd?
Yeah, Lloyd has.
Lloyd Farnham here. So I just wanted to say that I was the one that purchased the truck about a year and a half ago. It did not go out to bid. It definitely should go out to bid. And I was the one that brought that to Brand's attention. So this time around, rather than giving it to somebody's friend, again, like the last one was going to, why doesn't it go out to public bid? That's what every other town does.
Well, I agree with Lloyd regarding the fact that that last truck was a completely botched event. And to give you an idea of the extent of the problem, we basically sold the truck for 21, and then about a month later it went for 63. Okay, so that was a real problem. In this case, I think that it does make sense, and we can, if the select board chooses to put a public notice out and put it out to bid, we can go that route. That for equipment that's in this state and this and that, I don't know if the extra couple $100 we'll get is worth the procedural cost of fielding phone calls and tying up personnel to do it. I could be wrong. So, I think Lloyd is right in wanting to look out for the taxpayer, and we can go this other route. I'm just not sure, given the state of this particular vehicle, whether it's worth that extra effort. I certainly think for something that's, in the over $10,000 range, it's no doubt that would be a better option, but I'm just not so sure.
In that case, what does it cost to set in the paper? $10 to post it in the paper? Couldn't bring the town more money.
I think it's not so much the cost of the ad, it's the cost of fielding the phone calls, organizing the bid stuff and all that, and it will take a number of hours, and the gain, if there's a gain, I don't know that it would be substantial, but once again, we could do that. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. I think we can do that. It's just that it requires, when you take an ad out, it's not the cost of the ad, it's fielding the phone call, it's organizing the payment and doing all that. It's not as simple as just the cost of the ad. But once again,
in the past, there was two office people in the town clerk. That's why it always been done in the past. Now we have 4 or 5. I would think we could put a few minutes into posting it correctly.
There's not 4 or 5.
Well, 3 or 4.
There's 3 right now, yeah.
24.
Just a quick question. Could we have, rather than have phone calls come in, could we have people send a bid into like email?
we can do that. I'm just saying that, I'm just saying that I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed in the office right now.
Right.
And it adds more work. If I thought that it would garner more bucks, I'd definitely do it. I have no objection to that. And as for things in the past, weren't publicly, I mean, this is why I'm bringing up this discussion now, so we can have a public discussion. You know, and for example, in the past, I went around and there was a truck that was gonna be sold for $1,000. And I went out and thought that that price was too low. And I went out and I got somebody from Maine to come in and pay $4,000. So I'm not unfamiliar with the challenge. But we can put it out. It's not that big a deal.
Well, we want to be sensitive to your office time as well.
Well,
Is
Yeah,
this that?
whatever you want to do.
Thank you. Yeah, I am understanding of the limited capacity of the town clerk, but you preface this by saying we don't have a formal policy for how we do these things, and it feels like even though obviously this vehicle is worth far less than the previous vehicle, it feels like we're doing it the exact same way as the previous vehicle, which you've said on many occasions was the wrong way to do it.
Right.
And so I think that we should have at least some sort of process that puts it out so that more than one person can look and decide if they wanna, spend whatever amount of money. And I think using this small case might be a good tester to figure out the best way for us to post it, do other things. And then when we have an item we actually think is gonna be worth some money, we'll have a process in place. So that seems like for me, the best way for us to go forward. I'm sure when we sold the last one, at least a couple of people in town must have thought it was a good idea to sell it for what we sold it. And so this just seems like the same exact case as before.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael, I've been trying to wrap my head around something for quite a few months actually related to this particular vehicle. And it also has a procedural question behind it, which is, this is a fairly expensive truck at the time when it was in use, even, if it's a 2015, at some point in its life, it hit something, and it was with the plow attached. This truck hit a fixed object, whether it's a big stone or a tree, with sufficient power that it bent the frame, and it could no longer be used with a dump body, all of which I was present when Michael Bingham pointed this out, which is why we had to replace it at quite a bit of cost. And I was never sure why, if there is an accident with a town vehicle, why it isn't reported, first of all, to our town insurance agency, so that our town insurance could replace the truck. That's why we have vehicle insurance. And secondly, why there wasn't a police report. And there was obviously a person who knew that they had hit something with the plow attached and wrenched the body, but it didn't ever get addressed. I'm not trying to dig up the past here. I'm trying to say that I wish this kind of thing wouldn't happen because it's very costly to the town.
Oh, I'm sorry. That you next.
I'm Vicki McDonald. I was just curious, a total of like 3,500 was mentioned as potentially being reasonable for the offer on this vehicle. But in the research, what was the range, like a low and a high range that one might be able to expect from this sales?
Looking at completed sale of the same model and year, for type of salvage, the range for a similar vehicle, which I believe was a Ford F-550, was between 2,000 and 8,000, and considering the extent of work required to make a passable vehicle, I felt like 4,500 was perfectly reasonable.
I would suggest, given Dan's comments, that the select board basically somebody move that when town property over $500 is being sold, that it has to go through the select board approval. And with this vehicle, we can take ads out and post it on, I'll post it on social media.
I'm wondering if this is an opportunity to create town policy. on the sale of vehicles? Is this that moment? It doesn't need to be.
For me, I'd rather think about it a little more, because there may be issues, but in this case, I think if we follow Bram's thought is if we want to review any sale prior to it being sold, then
Sure.
we can work on the policy in the meantime and perhaps create that policy then.
I mean, sensitive to the town office staff right now. Feel free to, as you solicit multiple bids in whatever way, do so in such a way that is less labor for town office staff.
Right.
Well, and also, I know all three of you that are in the office are busy. I know your technology comfort is different, and so you could potentially have the person getting the bids be somebody who's more comfortable with getting electronic bids and organizing. I'm thinking of Josh, but it might be better. And then, right? I mean, it's just collecting. I mean, it would take you a lot less time than Brand to collect them, I would think.
Well, I would, there are multiple towns that have a, disposal of town assets policy. And, just while we're having this conversation, I brought up, the St. Albans one just to breeze through. So I think for the select board to, you know, to adopt a policy, like looking at a few other towns of, you know, reasonable size, are gonna have this kind of policy, and that, it wouldn't be very difficult to generate for the select board.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do it tonight, but that's something we can do.
Just one other question for you, Brent. So this truck, we've had it sitting for a little bit. Like, does this need to be sold this week? And why? Like, I'm just curious if there's
Well, I
urgency.
mean, no, once again, it's fun. We'll go through the process, we'll solicit bids and this and that, which also means organizing, having people view the truck on top of just talking on the phone and doing all that other stuff. Which is fine, we'll do that. I think in answer to Michael's query as to why there wasn't a formal police report filed, I think I can speak that this involved, it was a personnel matter, and that person is no longer an employee of the town. And I don't know that it was one specific incident. I think it was careless operator error over a period of time. So I think we addressed that. One other thing before I turn it over to the treasurer's report, I'm going to write a letter that the select board, I'd like the select board to consider. I want every taxpayer in this town to understand that we had a reckless driver who basically totaled a town vehicle and permanently injured a town employee. And that individual ended up getting $100 fine. And sorry, I should preface the fact that he fled the scene of the accident, was identified. He ended up getting $100 fine and license suspended for 30 days. And I really would like the select board to, I think I sent you a number of emails. I had emails with the district attorney. And I find the outcome of this case to be a slap in the face to the people of Plainfield, not just on a taxpayer level, but on public safety level. So I will, and you can, you know, I'll give you the letter and you can consider it next meeting.
Thank you, Brandon.
So, Brent, you don't need any action from us for you to go through the.
No.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
Okay, but we do want to, in the future, work on a policy, as Josh suggests, there are other towns that have them. And we could find one we like. Okay, oh, did you, no? Treasurer's report, please.
Did you want to speak to this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it, like, sorry.
The only reason I'm bringing it up that way to have it done this way is every town, taxpayer in town should have the ability to have option to bid on something like that.
Yeah.
And I just see the vehicle that I bought, yes, I made money on it. The next one may not be this vehicle, but it might be the one following it. We should have a policy that we follow every time. It doesn't take much time to put an ad out, collect a few bids.
I agree, yep.
And I just want to just be very clear that In terms of the disposition of the other truck, I think I agree completely with Lloyd that this is going forward, we should have this policy and. Lloyd didn't do anything wrong in terms of purchasing the truck. It was really the fault of the people in power on the board in the town office at the time. So I think it's fine. We can do this through process.
Okay. So I had distributed a draft request for proposals, to the select board, for hiring, a professional firm, for auditing. And, I don't believe I've had any feedback from anyone, particularly on that proposal, so I'd be looking for, the go ahead to, put that out to an ad for, put the request for proposal out. Typically, there's a couple of places that are optimal for that kind of thing. Vermont League of Citizen Towns, and then I'm blanking on the name of the organization of like Vermont CPAs or something like that. But that was where I was planning on putting them. Our work, we had worked with the bookkeeper for a number of months, but due to like a lot of revolving kind of scheduling problems and the need for a little more time than she has available, I'm going to look for another bookkeeper to kind of assist in reconciling a lot of the books. And there are a lot of things in this fiscal year where, just due to the volume of payables that came through the office in such a short time related to the flood, has created a lot of like difficulty in kind of finding all of the errors. And so I'm gonna try to find somebody who's available within like kind of the budget as it is, but with a little more frequency and availability. That's next on my list of to-dos. And then before we had a discussion about policy, I had on my notes adoption of policies. And that would kind of go hand in hand with the CPA hire going out to bid. So those are things that I'm working on currently, in kind of a flood recovery road commissioner process. Peter and Carl, I guess this is road commissioner now technically. Peter and Carl and I have been reviewing the firms in the act ready process. And I also independently reached out to George Stringston to have him take a look, because he had questions about the process with hiring municipal project management for to get these projects funded and up and running. And and then another portion of that is getting the documentation together. And today we had a very good working day on on putting together all of the documentation for the Federal Highway Works Administration that will and in the Federal Connector, all of that work that we've done is sort of in 12 different projects. Some of the projects have multiple sites. And so we're currently like scanning and documenting all of the documentation from that recovery work, the pick tickets, the invoices, time cards, and et cetera, to get a dollar value for what is assigned to each. And then that'll get built into a table that then gets appended with all of the supporting documentation, photographs, and then each of those will result in a particular number of dollars back. We had great help from Sky, this morning, for a couple of hours, helping me, with the administrative work on that. Karen Hatcher came in for a few hours and, tagged in after Suquana, and, I'm just really like pleased with the amount of work that, we've moved along. And in that, the municipal project management, thank you, Carl, for, pinch hitting for me when I was sick on Friday. We've come to a sort of a final, dollar amount, and, without any, objection, I'd like to submit that to, the, Municipal Assistance Bureau to get that processed, as soon as possible. That one being for the Mill Street Bridge, and then, one down, 11 to go.
You know, I was gonna say, this is primarily a managing engineer, PE, who will watch over the project from one end to the other to get a new bridge in at Mill Street.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we have that as a agenda item later in the agenda, right?
We do have that as an agenda item, yes. So I think we'll,
I mean, I'd like to circle back to lack of clarity from us about whether or not the books won't be audited. I'm hearing they ought to be audited. I support them being audited. And you putting out a request for proposals to do that work.
Right, I just haven't received any feedback from the board on that, and I just want to check in, and then if there's no other feedback, then I'll put that out.
Peter is not here, did have some questions, but you didn't see those questions in the document. So do you need us to move for you to put it out, or you can put it out? Okay.
yeah. I think we're all in support of really understanding where we're at. And as far as the bookkeeper is concerned, I would, this is kind of replacing the person that's been there but has had limited time. And we're still trying to recover from previous years of books not being orderly. And I think this makes a lot of sense.
Right, and, you know, and then some of this is preparatory for, making sure that all of our, like, the rework of the, general ledger to kind of unify some of the disparate things, like having, you know, your fringe and your FICA in different sections, or, you know, that sort of thing. But there is like some administrative work on that, you know, we did budget, like, we have bookkeeping, services as a line item in this year's budget. And we're not expending it, and I would like to.
Okay,
spend it.
I think we fully support that, sounds like.
Maybe
Okay, that's the treasurers. Anything to tell us about the road commission?
Yeah, all of the work of the road recently has been in the, moving forward with the Municipal Assistance Bureau process, so. That has been, there is a very, firm, like, timeline on that we have to race to meet, so, that is any focus to, like, you know, in that regard has been entirely consumed with the Municipal Assistance Bureau process.
Yep, and I think Karen's gonna probably address that right now.
I'm on. All right, great.
Yeah, you're on, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to just give a brief update on the grants recovery and where we are. Things keep happening and things are changing. So I want to come on every time that I've got new information to update folks. So and I'll just I'll tag team with what Josh has just been talking about. We're very clear. We've gotten very clear direction from our folks at FEMA that the only path forward for any of the repairs along Brook Road is through federal highway. That's our one path. And so we're really clear about that now. And in completing the work for the FEMA PA, damage inventory will be taking the Brook Road items off of that inventory. And focusing our efforts with FEMA PA on the roads that are not Brook Road. So Cameron, Lee, Gore, Maxfield, Recreation Field Road, and the major work that has to be done on those sites will be priority through FEMA PA. That damage inventory is close to being signed, but I will say FEMA has changed guidance over the course of the last several months by changing staffing. So that's been a bit of a challenge. We've had 4 different PDMGs, as they call them, giving us different information. So we finally have gotten it to where we understand exactly what we need to do, and that will be moving forward. For the FEMA PA sites, the next step is scheduling site visits with the FEMA inspectors. And we're trying to get some dates on the calendar, but we all know that winter probably isn't done with us, despite today's weather. So we're trying to get some possible dates on where our consultants can be here at the same time, because we absolutely know that they will hold FEMA fully to account to make sure everything is in the site inspection reports that needs to be. So we get not just the bridge, but all of what's around the bridge, you know. So so that's in the works, and that's happening. As Josh said, Federal Highway, we are very clear that we have a tight timeline to get all of the preliminary work done on the 12 sites, the 12 projects, if we call them. That is getting all of this DDIR work done, which is incredibly time-consuming and administratively heavy, but we're gonna just keep knocking it out. It does include all the invoices, all of the pick tickets for all of the gravel and materials that were ever dumped anywhere, pictures of everything, time that people spent on it. So for every location, we have to have all of that in a particular folder, then scanned in and uploaded to VTrans for the next step. And then once we get signed off there, we can move on hiring a project engineer and the next steps. But it's really the goal here is that by September 30th, 2026, we would have all the preliminary work done and submitted to the point where the funds could be obligated through Federal Highway. And that's the goal. And if we can get everything obligated, then projects will go out to bid and the work will begin. But this preliminary work is the big work to get done, so that we can get the dollars obligated to us. But progress is being made, and we are not going to let up until we get everything done we need to. Also, at the same time, I reported last time that we are working on a grant that will do a study on the Great Brook, top to bottom. The news on that is that there will be now, we thought there was going to be a 25% match on that grant. The update is that it will now be 100% funded. So we will not be on the hook for any of that, which is great news. Yeah, also today got an email from our folks who manage the Emergency Watershed Protection Grant. As you may remember, those funds were put on a moratorium following some of the hijinks in Washington, D.C. I'll just call it that. But today we got an email saying that they want our applications in by April 11th and that funds are anticipated to be released. So that's good news on that grant. Also, a good news on the Batchelder Dam Study Grant. We heard that the matching funds there were not going to be required also, so that's 100% funded. And that's being managed through the Friends of the Winooski. But that's new information. Another update is that on the Community Development Block Grant for disaster recovery, which is the one I'll remind you was the $68 million to Vermont, 55 million of which was for Washington and Lamoille counties, and that we were in the top 5 projects being presented, or the top 5 areas to be considered. What we have heard is that the preliminary plan from the Agency of Commerce and Community Development will be coming out and presented on March 20th, which will open then a 30-day public comment period, the completion of which I believe will then have them working on the application and criteria requirements. So we have big hopes for that money. It's primarily affordable housing, infrastructure, and other community development projects. So more to come on that. Smaller grant, we're working on the possibility of an animating infrastructure grant through the Department of Arts, and meeting with the Recreation and Public Art Committee on March 18th to discuss their involvement in that. And we're hoping that will kickstart a community engagement process around the green space and the new park area that will be taking the place of the homes that are in the buyout program in the lower village. So, so we want to just start to get something going there. Also, new thing, heard from Peter Youngbear sent to me over the weekend, information that Becca Balint has asked towns to submit requests for funding, an earmark request. And so we have done that. We submitted a $1 million request to support housing expansion in some way in Plainfield. And we don't know anything more about that at this point, just that we wanted to be in the queue and have them consider us. And so we sent some information over, and hopefully we'll hear back and they'll ask us for more information. And we're still waiting to hear officially about the FEMA buyout. We have no word on that yet. We thought February, but our group is meeting tomorrow morning, and hopefully we'll hear if there's anything more on that. I know that's a lot to digest, and I did provide the board with a written report, and that'll be posted on our site under our reports. So if anybody wants to dig in and try and take it at a slower pace, it'll be there. And I know I talk fast, and that's my Jersey coming out, sorry. But I'm happy to take any questions if folks have them.
I just want to say your group is doing remarkable work here, and you're a rock star.
Yes.
Amazing work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Have Betsy? Betsy?
Yes, hi. Hi, this is Betsy. I just wanted to ask Karen, from what I heard you say, you're working on some kind of infrastructure grant. I think that and maybe there's some $1 million that might be available for housing. I just saying, whatever we can be doing, I think, to look for money, either feasibility studies or whatever, for the lower, to revitalize what we have left of our village and the rest of our town, so that we can bring it back to life in some way, using whatever old refurbishing buildings, maybe finding, places that could be built behind or built in, buildings that need to be removed and could be replaced.
Yep. I hear you. And, as I said at town meeting, there is an opportunity before us, and there are offers for funding, and we will take them up on everything, Betsy, and we'll figure out how to spend it.
Good luck. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. Thanks for catching people who are.
Michael, I just wanted to speak to the idea of the lower village that just came up, which is that the committee, the funding committee, is in fact very aware that there is this huge transition going on. We want to end up with a nicer looking town, but we also want to have a more functional town. So things like street lighting in the town parking lot, which I brought up earlier, or sidewalks where sidewalks are missing, particularly.
Hold the mic closer, Michael, to your.
It may be off.
Hold the mic closer.
Sidewalks, including those that would connect all the way up to the private campus, as well as those adjacent to town hall, so people have an easier time getting across the street. And there has been a point raised, which I think I want to make sure people have a clear idea about, which is that the idea of abandoned buildings in the house, in the town, abandoned buildings that are unsightly or perhaps should be refurbished or made to do something else. We don't have a lot of control over that. It would be lovely to be able to either take them away from the people who own them in some kind of reasonable sale, or to demolish them through an edict that said that they were unlivable. But at the present time, there are reluctant owners who do not want to make changes, and we cannot at the present time step over top of them and take over their properties. And so there are some houses that we'd love to be able to address, but we haven't solved that yet.
Thank you. Could I would just like to add like one more comment here. And, you know, we don't know with the community development block grant funds, you know, how much we could get, but one of the ideas within our application could be to allocate some funding to our revolving loan fund and to expand that so that homeowners could borrow money at you know, low rates to be able to refurbish or to improve their homes. And so, you know, we're looking at all possibilities for what will be in line with what the criteria is when the grant criteria comes out. So, you know, but trying to be really creative about how do you revitalize the town, not just new, but, you know, bringing up to some new standard, some of the homes that could use some help.
And we have a note, I think it's pertinent, Lauren Geiger saying, as far as the lower bridge village goes, if the 28 FEMA buyouts go through, nothing can be built on those sites again. So we've been talking about what to do with that open land and how to make it attractive and usable with the grant group. And so that's important to understand, that we can't just rebuild things that are in the buyout program.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much. That's really great.
Thanks,
You're
Karen.
welcome. Yeah.
George, did you walked over here you missed the comment? Did you need to comment, or you want to wait? We need,
Gotta use the microphone and say your name.
George Cushing, just like to reiterate, we have problems in the office, and it seems like you throwing money isn't gonna fix it. You know, you keep hiring somebody extra, we're paying a ton of money for 3 people, you wanna add an extra, it doesn't do any good, because that person has to be trained, and the people that are working there now, other than Carol, have not been properly trained, and they need to be trained. I've brought this up to you folks before, and it's very serious, because now it's affecting other people's work, including my own. So if the training isn't done, no matter how many people you get in there, it's not gonna work. And hiring an extra person is not gonna do any good for $30,000-$40,000 a year. That's not gonna fix it. You need to have people trained, including, you know, new members of the select board should be trained. It's my understanding that if you're on the select board and there's people missing in town, like animal control officer, the constable, even my job, if I, you know, couldn't do it tomorrow, you all should be trained to do all these jobs. It's all part of your job. So, and I know for a fact that doesn't happen. So, you know, something needs to be addressed, not swept under the rug. And, you know, we're gonna do some advertising and, you know, well, that's gonna get done, that's gonna get done. Well, we are better than halfway through another year, fiscal year, and it's not done. So, I mean, I'm at the town clerk's office every day, and I see what's going on, I hear what's going on. So I think I'm a pretty good authority of what should be done. Thank you.
thanks. You got all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
A quick comment and to add to that is that.
What is it real quick?
Yeah,
Please.
that trainings are available through the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, that some of the specific stuff that George is.
Yeah, we know about that. Yeah, and we're just trying to get our feet under us. Let's see. So invitation to register interest to serve on the official village expansion committee. This isn't a general conversation, it's just to express that there's interest, and we have a form, which you can talk about.
Yeah, so we are next week, and I see, Peter, I will note that you are with us now on this agenda item, for the notes, Peter Youngbear's with us.
Yeah.
So next week, March 17th at 6 p.m., we're having a special, a select board meeting to discuss the village expansion project and a number of elements to do with it. The agenda will be warned later this week. So this 5-minute agenda item is just to announce that we are looking for folks who will be interested in serving on the Town of Plainfield Village Expansion Committee. I'm creating a volunteer interest form that I will put live tonight. Once folks, I will happy to read what's in it and get feedback from the rest of the select board before we finalize it. But it says, thank you for considering volunteering your time to serve on the Town of Plainfield Village Expansion Committee. The Plainfield Select Board hopes to appoint a committee of diverse voices and perspectives. If you're interested in serving on the committee, please fill out this form. Then it explains that we're going to be, if you want to talk about who should be on the committee, what kinds of folks, the number for the committee, those are all conversations for a week from today, not for tonight. But I put the time in there. Name, address to make sure they're Plainfield residents, email, phone number. Please briefly describe the perspective or perspectives you hope to bring to the committee. Examples, neighbor, property abutter, experience with housing developments, current member of village expansion committee, professional background, etc. The committee expects to be very active in 2025 with multiple meetings a month. Can you commit to regularly attending frequent meetings? Yes or no? And then if there's anything else folks want to share that might help the select board make your appointment decisions. So that's the basic form. And if the rest of the select board's good with it, I'm happy to make that live and promote it both in the notes, but also put it on Facebook and other places.
Yeah, I mean, I've read through it, and to me, it sounds like you've hit all the important items. I'd suggest we put it out.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And they asked them, everyone in Zoom land is, if you're using the mic, hold it close to your face.
All right, I do. I should know. Michael again, I should ask if there is a way. And I think this would be awkward, but to include people who are not in Plainfield, who were in Plainfield and have been displaced by the flood, and who would be potential and maybe identified themselves as potential property owners in this new change in the town. The way to somehow create room for them as well.
Good point. Yep.
Yeah, Alicia's got a hand up.
Alicia?
Yeah, hi, thanks. A point and a question. My understanding is that this form is going online. We have to remember we do have a digital divide. Is there a way to get an alternate way to get it out, or to help people who do not have consistent and easy access be aware of the form and maybe, offer assistance so that someone can help them generate interest? We don't want to lock people out by opportunity economics or technical savvy. And the other one is a question, second point is a question to which you may not yet have the answer, but once these people have indicated interest, how will the actual composition of the committee be determined? In other words, we may have more people indicating interest than seem reasonable for a functional committee, and how will that appointment be selected?
So the second question we are discussing next week, March 17th at 6 p.m. in our special meeting. We have not, as a select board, had any conversations about that. So come to that meeting if you'd like to know. As far as getting the form out, the things I just volunteered for are the capacity I have for getting the form out. If other select board members have other capacity, or others that are not select board members have other capacity.
Can we get it
Yeah.
to the,
Yeah, you can leave it in town office. In other words, we'll print copies. and
Okay.
leave it in town office.
So we will print copies and leave it at town office as well.
That's great, thanks.
This is great.
Can we
Chair,
can we put it in the post office as well, or a notification that the forms are in the town office?
Yes, I'll do that.
Area to bring, can you say where it's gonna be online for people looking at Jared asked this question?
Yeah, I will put it in Plainfield People, I will put it in Front Porch Forum,
Great, thank
and
you.
I will send to Bob Fancher to put on the town website.
Perfect, thank you.
thank you. Charlie, did you have a different question?
I have a comment. It's probably premature, but I think it's very important that the select board at some point indicate what the charge that will be put to this committee is. In other words, what will their scope be? Will it be planning, negotiation, management, sales, construction, maybe all or none? Could you please make it clear, especially with people volunteering, of what they're volunteering for, other than the title of the committee?
That's in the plan for our meeting next week, Charlie. We understand that's the only way this committee can actually
Good.
do anything.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Okay, discussion of V-Trans intersection project. Do you have any new information from Ross? Okay, you said you talked to him today. I have not talked to him today.
No, I not about this.
So our idea is to try to bring in either Ross or somebody that he would recommend to come into the select board and have a conversation about this intersection, especially the changes that we hear about that we haven't been formally informed about. So I guess we won't have much to talk about there tonight, but
Well, the Ross Gowan, sorry. Ross Gowan is with the Municipal Assistance Bureau. And I think that I believe this might be outside of his like
Okay.
scope of his work. So we'll have to go back and I'll determine who we contact, probably District 6 as well, start with
do you have ready access, or should I come in and look through all the old files of anyone who might be able to inform us on this? Because I don't have any name.
No, I know where to start.
You what?
I can get the ball rolling on that.
Okay, or you can get it to me and I can do it. I just want to get somebody's name. I thought it was Ross and it's not. Okay, I'll wait for something from you then.
Peter?
Yeah, Mike Zahner had sent an email with the reduced scope or new scoping diagrams, and that did come from Ross, but there was someone else copied on that as well. I can check. I can check back in the emails on that as well.
Okay, I'm happy to follow up, but I need a name that's current, and the old records wouldn't have current, but that might. Thank you, Peter. I guess you'll take care of that.
Well, can we, happy to obviously have you do it, but if Josh is gonna reach out to the folks anyway, can we just give him the dates of our next 2 regular scheduled meetings and he can try to schedule it? And then we'll just make room for it on our agenda.
Yeah, we could
rather than you all having to reach out too.
Yeah.
Is that what you, Josh? So it's the 24th and April.
Yeah, whatever. It is. Yeah. Second Monday in April.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Josh.
Oh, we already covered the status of the Mill Street Bridge manager hire and the Brook Road study. You kind of already talked about that. Is there anything to add to that? Yeah, okay.
Well.
Did,
there is an
did you
operator-
already act on that?
What's that? We have
You-
not acted on that yet.
Okay.
We need a motion to,
Well, I was just gonna say, for, in this, process that is outlined, through Federal Highway and the Municipal Assistance Bureau work, there is opportunity for volunteers to get involved, and, there's a lot of, like, 2-hour blocks that, people can, volunteer for, and to create some of this documentation, you know, read and recommend some of the, you know, the at the ready list. So people who are interested, there are things you can do if you want to get involved.
the things, can you give a quick summary of what the things might be? Would it be visiting sites on the roads?
No, it's largely like administrative work.
Okay,
We've set up a kind of a workspace upstairs to run through some of that, to create that documentation, and you know, and not hiring out that, you know, that's part of, you know, what does take time in the office.
Yep.
You know, and it's like doing the work ourselves is like it's a good value, because that is like, you know, being the clerk of the works is that is costly to pay for.
yes,
And so we are kind of running that ourselves right now, and you know, so any help is appreciated.
yeah, thanks for that. And that goes for several of the committees that are formed based on the flood. I know the grant group and this new committee we're forming, all these things are unexpected, but we need help, and if we can get volunteer help, that'd be great. And yours is very important because there's timelines on it. So thanks. Michael?
Michael, I just wanted to add that in the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the Housing Mitigation Committee had made itself available to help with those kind of projects, and we're very deeply involved with supporting the findings of the consulting firms that were working on the Brook Road Bridge. And we had mentioned that we potentially could bring that expertise over to the Mill Street Bridge, as well as looking at the brook, which we've been doing and having public forums on for years. So we know river engineers, we know scientists and people who have already offered their services, so we can help.
Great, that's great. I used to keep in touch with Josh on that.
I mean, Peter mentioned action. Is there action required of us right now?
I think, based on the meeting that Carl and I had with VHB and Evan the other day, I think we could move to approve that contract.
Is that a motion?
Well, can you-
Yes.
can you explain the
And,
contract?
and I could summarize that in the discussions that we had with them, there was a whole section dealing with right-of-way acquisition that they agreed to drop from the contract because we don't know if the replacement bridge will lie outside the current right-of-way. But even if it does, you're talking about the Mill Street Park or 3 other properties, all of which are subject to the FEMA buyout and would become town property, in which case we would not need that portion at all. And so they agreed to drop that. And that may actually speed up the project by as much as 8 months in Evan Dietrich's estimation. But we won't know that until after the timing of the FEMA buyouts. So, but that's a ways into the project management timetable. Anyway.
Before you speak here. Was the action
You need specifics of the name of the contract?
Yeah.
Okay. You
Or
just
the
said
amount?
Said yes.
Oh, you said yes?
So if we're in a motion period, we can't get other public
Yeah,
comment
yeah.
until we get a
Okay.
motion and a second.
We need a second, then we
Or
can
not.
discuss it. Yeah.
But what's the motion?
The motion is to approve the VHB revised contract that was sent, and I forwarded that to the entire select board.
And it's for
And a second.
Mill Street Bridge Project Management, is that?
Yes.
My second.
That was on second.
Okay, we have discussion. Is there some clarification on this?
This is Arian Dewey speaking with my FEMA buyout coordinator hat on, official town role. Peter did share this with me and I think it's great, and I did notify the state. I think there's a question about if there's any other work that we should get in front of that would maybe facilitate that timeline while we're working through the FEMA buyout process. And you may not have an answer to this right now, but if it becomes clear that there may be some preparatory work to increase that right away, that we could move forward sooner with those potential properties. I'm in contact with all of those folks on a regular basis. And so if there's something that could facilitate that timeline even more, I just want to put that out there to make sure that you folks are aware of that.
Thank you. I think it's important for us to make this move as quickly as possible so we can avoid another catastrophe. So we have a motion and a second.
And it sounds like Peter has more discussion.
Oh, one more discussion.
And
Peter?
Lauren has, what is
I appreciate that thought from Arian and would add, I mean, Michael Zahner also replied that the coordination with the river study and the rollout of all of these federal highway funded projects needs to be a coordinated process. And to the extent that, as Arian suggests, we can look at the buyout properties as we go up the Brook Road, in that extent, that's a good thing to keep in mind. I don't think it's any reason to slow this project down. We need to get this one underway. All of these need to be committed to by 2026. So.
And then Lauren Geiger is asking, what does VHB stand for?
I think it's the initials of the owners of the company. I don't know.
It's the name of the company that we are going to contact.
Vanessa Hangen Bruslin is the woman's name who owns and so VHB is as far as I can tell, the full name of the company.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We ready to vote? All those in favor, say aye.
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 It's unanimous, thank you. And Josh, you're taking it from here, I guess. The update, I'm not sure this one, about the requests for information. Is that for check in and update about requests for information?
The town office has received multiple requests for information.
You want to talk to that?
Yeah, the town doesn't have a formal policy on how to manage requests for information. I sent everybody the Model League of Cities and Towns model statute on this. Obviously, probably haven't digested it. If you want to go through it and you can bring it up at another meeting. Obviously, I don't think we're ready to make a motion at this point.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance.
Right. I mean, the challenge is fulfilling statute and making sure get public information, but at the same time, not eating up all town resources to do that.
Right. Yes, thank you for following up on that. So we'll postpone this, but we'll keep it on the list of future items. Discussion of town positions and reappointments.
This is has the potential to be a longer item. There are many appointments.
Yeah. Do we have the list?
The list is in my email.
Can you forward me that so I don't have to type it all out?
Yes. I mean, it's like I'd be forwarding you.
Yeah, you just copy and paste that.
Yeah, okay. We're not going to do that right now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Add to the notes.
Okay. We can start with water and wastewater. Mary Lane, after 21 years, says, why quit now? Thank you, Mary Lane. Can I just like, we read these all and then we like make a motion to approve them all? Is that?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Janice is, we're pleased to welcome Janice Walrafen back to the Design Review Board. Thank you, Janice. Development Review Board, thank you, Bram. Mary Therese. Treris, thank you, is welcome back to the Conservation Committee. David Boynton, Erica DaCosta, and Carl Bissix. Actually, not one of them actually got back to me. Oh, wait, no, Erica DaCosta got back to me. You're sitting next to me.
I would say yes.
Okay, so we've not yet heard back from David Boynton about whether or not he would like to be reappointed to the revolving loan committee.
Right.
But Erica DaCosta and Carl Bissix, yes. We are welcoming back Karen Story as the zoning administrator. Okay, and then for recreation and public arts, welcoming back Ben Youngbear. Welcoming Jamie Spector. Jake McBride did not get back to me. I don't know who Purple Duck Pictures is.
That's Ben.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Jamie suggested had another name. Right?
Yes, and we have a new welcome, Larkin Wright Kennedy to the
Francis Rose, I wonder if Francis Rose, if you have a mic near you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Larkin Wright, no.
No, sorry,
Larkin Wright Kennedy will be joining the Recreation Public Arts Committee. Not coming back will be Beto Silva. Not coming back to the public arts. And I believe that is all of our appointments for town positions.
I sent a letter on Saturday. Yeah, we also need Michael Billingsley.
I thought there was a constable position.
We have.
Yes. The appointment to the constable post is Dan, last name? Caddy. And then Michael Billingsley as Emergency Management Director. Thank you, Michael.
I missed Dan Caddy. What was that?
Dan Caddy as constable.
Thank you.
What is the status of our current constable?
Constipation.
Our current constable has become more active of late. I don't know that he has made an impact on the job. In other words, if you look back on the entirety of the year, you kind of wonder if it might make sense to try someone new, and then Caddy has expressed interest. So that's
how it came up. Okay.
That's how it came up.
So is this off now, or do you write to them, and you're just and say?
Well, I can reach out to the older one, and depending on your decision, and contact Dan. And we want to put this off another meeting to give. I don't know that the current constable knows that we're considering a change. If we want to
Yeah, I think, I feel a little awkward just throwing
That's
them
fine.
out the window.
That's fine. So
Maybe
hold off
perhaps
on
the
that
next,
vote.
I think the
Hold off on
next,
that vote and vote for the next meeting.
well, let's hold off on that appointment until we talk to the current constable.
I also want to add that the hazard mitigation committee next week, we will be pulling members who wants to be reappointed so that you could have another tranche of names.
We could add,
at your meeting.
next meeting, we can add those, sure.
Let's see, his hands up. Hand up.
Betsy?
Hello, hi, this is Betsy and Ziegler. Someone has to be reappointed to the Central Vermont Solid Waste Management District for the next meeting. I would be glad to run again or be appointed again. I would also encourage the town to have an appoint an alternate. So.
Thank you. Thank you for the offer and thank you for the suggestion. It's good.
Thank you, Betsy.
Is there anyone else that you think we should add into that motion?
That's all I was tracking.
Okay, yeah, thanks for doing that, by the way.
So,
Charlie Cogbill.
well, can I ask a clarifying question?
Oh,
before
Yeah,
we-
what's that?
Hold on,
So,
Charlie.
is Central Vermont Solid Waste District Betsy, is that being, we're doing that tonight?
No,
We're gonna do that.
I think, well, we could do it tonight.
That's why, this is why I'm asking.
Yeah, we could do it
I
tonight.
see no reason to not.
Okay,
Okay,
I will add them over here instead of over there. Thank you. And then constable of a future appointment.
yes,
Okay, I'm just trying to keep track.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie?
Yeah, for 20 years, I was a fence viewer. And for professional and town interests, I think we should have a fence viewer. For the past 4 or 5 years, my requests have been ignored. I wish to request to be appointed fence viewer.
I don't know what it is.
It's an old tradition and you're right, it was here for many years and then it got dropped. But we have a,
It's not on.
Oh.
Get out of the mute.
Is this on now?
yeah,
I don't think we have a wearer of coal either, Charlie, if you want to jump in for being the wearer of coal.
I think we should add Charlie to our list of appointments.
Do we have fence viewer as an actual thing we can appoint to?
There is a position of fence viewer.
What is their role?
It's not clear to me, but maybe. Brett-
Boundary disputes.
Yes, if I could enumerate, they are called to mediate against boundary disputes, and the position and maintenance of fences. Yes, it is archaic, but it still exists on the books in Vermont, and every town should appoint 3 fence viewers.
Oh. It looks like,
Do you have any friends, Charlie, who would like to sit on that post with you?
And I would quickly add that in the last 4 or 5 years, a fence dispute was settled on Freeman Street, which needed to be resolved with a fence viewer. So I think
Okay.
this is helpful.
good.
Peter?
In all seriousness, I do not mind appointing Charlie as a fence viewer. I would disagree, however, in terms of priorities, that 2nd and 3rd fence viewers would take priority over 4th and 5th planning commission members.
I totally conclude that Peter is so right that I will gladly serve as a committee of 1, if you so desire.
You were on the list, Charlie.
Thank you.
Okay,
Francis, will you make a motion to collect
Yes.
this list? You don't have to say the names. you can
I would
just
make
say
a
it.
motion. I would make a motion that the town of Plainfield reappoints the many and the 2 new to the long roster that fill out our town committees and do a lot of moving, shaking, and working for this town. Thank you all for your service.
I would second that.
and all those in favor say aye.
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 Wow.
Good work.
I just have a question. If for other committees you want. Arian's good word. For other committees in town, you're looking to hear from everybody again, just because at this time of year, is that correct?
We had a list of people whose commissions were expiring in 2025.
Someone with multi-year terms. Okay, so it's not like everybody needs.
No.
Not everybody.
Okay,
It's-
very good.
Yeah, and it's
Thank you.
just because today's the first meeting of the new after elections.
I was like, there are a lot more committees. This sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah. There's a lot of people in this town that do things.
Yeah.
It's really terrific. Okay, we're down to minutes, approval of town meeting minutes. Are we prepared to?
We're saying since last meeting, I believe is we're trying out approval of town meeting minutes since last meeting.
Yes.
I don't know if we can actually do that with minutes. We
Okay.
can put minutes on a consent agenda with dates. And then
I see.
Okay.
we could
Excuse
put
me.
all of these, we could put all warrants, payrolls, and town meeting minutes on a consent agenda.
I see.
The chair could,
Okay.
and then we could approve the consent agenda, but I think minutes, because they're specifically required by the select board,
I see.
have to be dated, and so, let me pull up the date of the last minutes, whatever our last regular meeting was, which was, February 24th.
Yes.
So they would be the minutes for February 24th. But we should, as Peter Youngberg said more than once, create a consent agenda for the kind of items that we can just do at one swipe instead of doing all these individual votes. We just need our chair and vice chair to put a consent agenda on the agenda
Okay.
when they're creating it.
Okay. We'll remember that.
You can ask Peter what that means. if
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
to.
Yeah, I definitely will need some tech up on that.
Yep. Okay, we'll hold off on that then.
So February 24th.
February 24th.
So I move that we approve the meeting, the select board meeting minutes for February 24th, 2025. Wait, we gotta vote still.
Yeah, we got to vote. All those in favor?
You go by.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the, it says approval of words, are we thinking about it tonight?
Nothing, actually, we don't have anything.
Okay.
It's fine.
That's kind of a standard we put in there just because we don't want to forget it.
Okay.
Okay, the next select board meeting.
Do we have to pass any warrants, or do we have to approve any warrants, though?
Yes.
Since last meeting.
Since last
We
meeting,
don't have to sign them, but we have to approve them.
I don't have the date.
we don't have any, right?
There were files, so I don't.
I mean, I think we do it in case there are. I mean, I think Kara will give us a talking to if there are some who don't do it.
So you, Francois, you were motioning that we approve warrants since last meeting,
True, yes.
Okay.
seconded by.
And you get a second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then I
Okay.
think the other thing we have to do is the overweight and
Yes.
fleet permits since last meeting, is that correct?
Yeah.
I believe Carol sent out a list and I don't have it in front of me, but
I do.
there were 4, I think.
Yeah.
New ones. Hold on.
Okay. Excess weight permits for GW Tatro, Jeffersonville, Vermont, Pike Industries, Barry, Vermont, Western Pulpwood, Essex Junction, Vermont, N.A. Manosh, Morrisville, Vermont.
So we'll have a
motion to approve the fleet warrants or fleet permits.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Announce date for next select board meeting. We have a meeting next Monday. That's the 17th. Here at 6 o'clock to discuss the committee, how we're going to organize the committee and take any volunteers that want to sit on that committee to come in and we would welcome them to come in and talk to us about what we would like to see. And we have to decide what we would like to see first.
Yeah.
And then
decide the process.
and then review all that and review the process.
I mean, just to name, it's not just going to be talk of the committee. The next select board meeting a week from today
Yeah.
is to discuss the village expansion
The
project.
village expansion project.
Yeah,
That will be the only thing on the agenda next week.
no. Well, no, sorry, no, okay.
Multiple village expansion topics will be on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
And then the following week will be April,
No, March 24th.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, March 24th, right.
Back to our
And
regular.
that'll be our regular
scheduled
meeting.
programming.
Yeah.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn at 7:50 PM.
Second.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. We could leave chairs for the
Yeah,
DMV.
don't approve any of the chairs.
DMV is gonna be-
We are meeting here Wednesday. What?